So here's a form where I've already done some of the different questions. The first two questions are just text questions. So you make your question title, and then the answer box is a fairly small answer box where they can type in their answers. There's also on most question types an advanced setting tab, and I'm going to go into the details about that on a few of them, but most of them, there's not a lot that you can do with the advanced settings tab. So if you want to look at them on your own, you can see the different options that you have. Okay, the second one that I have here is also a text question. So if I open that one, again, the question type says text. The third one here, my question is, what is your teaching philosophy? And that's a paragraph text. A paragraph text allows the answers to be longer answers. The box where students can type is bigger so they can fit more information and see more information as they're typing. I will make one comment about the advanced settings here, and that is if you want to do a data validation, you can create a situation where you have a minimum character count or a maximum character count. So if you want 500 characters to be in the response, you can do that. Let me go through some of the other question types. The next question that I have here is multiple choice. And you can get to any of these question types by just choosing to add a new question and then picking the type of question. But multiple choice is one of your question types, and then you can choose your answers. Now, if you want it to be A, B, C, and D, you need to actually put A, B, C, and D as you do your question type. So let me go through and add a couple. You have A, B, C, and D. You can add something that says other, and if you add other, what it'll do is it'll give you an additional choice, and it'll allow students to add their own answer there. Okay, if you don't want the add other choice, you can always X out, and you can get rid of any of these by hitting the X button and it will remove that, or you can keep it if you want. One additional thing that I haven't said yet is that on every question there's a box that says required question. If you want your students to answer every question, you can require all of them. If you don't need them to answer every question, you can keep this box unchecked for certain questions if you want. Okay, so this is multiple choice. There are advanced settings on multiple choice, and the biggest one and the only one is to shuffle the option order. So now on forums, you actually have the opportunity to shuffle questions, and you have the opportunity on multiple choice to shuffle answer choices. So each student that would do this form in class would have a completely different looking quiz when they took it. Let's look at the next type of question. Okay. Every time I open up a question, it slides up to the top where you can't see it. The next type of question is checkboxes. Now, in the checkboxes question, you can make basically a list, and you can allow students to check on the ones that they want. You can also add an other option here, just like you did for multiple choice. And then in the advanced settings, if you go to advanced settings, there's a couple of options. And one of those options is to shuffle the order, but another one is data validation, and you can choose to select how many you want the students to do. Select at least 2. Let's say that you have 10 answer choices in the checkboxes, and you want them to choose 2 of the 10. You can select this and say at least and the number 2, and then they're required to select 2 of them. And then you can do an error text also. You did not select 2 options. Okay, so you can do that as an error text so that if they don't get it right, or like if they don't pick 2, it will give them an error so that they can try again. I would also suggest if you do a data validation like this where they have to pick a certain number of them, that you put that in the help text as well at the top. Otherwise, they won't know that that's a requirement. You must pick 2 at least 2 choices. Now, in addition to at least, down here, and apparently I can't select it, there you go. You can say at most, so you don't want them to pick more than a certain number, or you can select exactly. Maybe they need to do exactly 2 of them. Okay, so those are checkboxes. The next option choice that you can do, if I can click on it, is to choose from a list. Now, if you choose from a list, what it looks like, basically the setup for it is the same as the checkboxes, but when they actually see it, what they see is a little drop-down menu with an arrow for the question. So this is what the question would look like, and they would click on the drop-down arrow, and then it would give them a drop-down list that would come down here, and they would choose the one that they want from that drop-down list. By the way, to edit any of these, I'm just clicking on it and I will edit it. But you can also hit the edit button, which is over here, and it will open up any of these and edit them. In addition to that, when you're done with a question, if you click outside of the question, it will close it and think that you're done with that question. You can also hit the done button. There are 2 additional types of questions that we're going to look at. The next one is a scale. A scale is a question that has a scale, a numerical scale from 1 to 5, or you can choose any number to start with and end with. Now, with the scale, you can choose what the ends of your spectrum are. So a 1, my question was, how much do you like this class? And the 1 side is not at all, and the 5 side is, it is my favorite class. So that's a scale. The next one is somewhat similar to scale, and here's how scale looks, by the way. It's got 1 through 5 on the top, and then not at all on the left, and it's my favorite class on the right. The last one is similar to a scale, but it's a grid. And what a grid does is, instead of doing 1 to 5 for your column labels, what it will do is it will allow you to choose the columns that you're going to want. So it has you do the rows first. So the rows are your different questions. For a grid, you can have multiple questions in one grid. So each of the rows is kind of like its own question. And then the columns are the 1 through 5 ratings, but you're actually naming them. So here's my question. How comfortable are you with Google Forms? And then I have 3 rows. So I'm basically asking 3 different things. Creating Google Forms, adding questions to Google Forms, and using all types of questions. So those are my 3 questions that I want to ask. And then my columns identify how well you understand them. So my different columns that you have to choose from are, I don't understand it all, I am starting to get it but need more help, or I get it, I can create my own forms, and the 4th one is, I could teach this. So then when you look at it, you have 3 questions down here, and for each of those you can choose what you want to select for that. The last thing that I want to show you is how to copy and paste questions. So let's say that you want to do a multiple choice quiz that's 10 questions long so that you can formatively assess how your students are doing with a topic. You can do that by creating one of the multiple choice questions and then copying that 10 times and then going in and edit what you're doing. It might save you a little bit of time. Now, to copy a question, you simply hit this button right here. It's the middle button of these 3 right here. The left one is to edit. Edit will open up a question. The middle one is duplicate, and then the last one is to delete. If you want to get rid of a question, you use that one. If you want to duplicate, you just click on duplicate, and it will add a question. When it adds the question, it keeps the question opened for you, so the new question is opened so that you can modify the question in any way that you want, and then you click done. Now, it always adds questions right underneath the question that you just put it on. So if you didn't want this new question to be second, if you wanted to move it somewhere, you can also move questions as well. And how you move questions is you just go on the question until it's shaded and you see the little arrows that I have for my cursor, and then you just click on it, or you have to hold down the button. You click on it and then move it, and you can move it anywhere you want in the form. The last thing that you're going to do is you're going to click on the send form button. When you send the form, it will give you a link to the form itself, so you can click on this and use Control-C to copy, and then wherever you're going to put it, you can do Control-V to paste it. You can also, if you want to get a short URL, you can also, if you're going to put it on a web page, do an embed code. If you click on embed, it'll give you an embed code that you can use. So those are your options for sending the form when you're done to get it out to your students. I'm going to do a couple of additional videos on Google Forms, so if you want to get more in depth with what you can do with Google Forms, you can check out the other videos in this series.